Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Lore of Warcraft. And I am, as always, excited and happy to come see the next part of our show and the story that leads up to where we are currently. If you're looking for a timeline in the real world, I think they're coming out with the last kind of big patch for Shadowlands next week in a few days. And it's a little bit of a bummer because I think for the first time in the World of Warcraft saga, it sounds like they're not going to hit their every 2 year expansion. So it seems like there's trouble, declining enrollment in the world. I want to say, I think they said 31%. Their numbers are down. So I know they're going to do a faction unification where Horde and Alliance can start doing instances together. I think that's cool. I'll play for as long as they keep them servers rolling, guys, and I imagine that will still be for years and years to go. All right, so we're on the next chapter of the kind of third big part of Chronicles. This is called the Mantid cycle. We learned on the last one that the Mantid are a spin-off race of the Akir, and they're the ones that move down in the southeastern, what we know will eventually break off into the Vale of Eternal Blossoms and the Pandaria. All right, here we go, the Mantid cycle. In the later stages of the war with the Trolls, one enclave of Akir gathered at the southern edge of Kalimdor. Below the roots of the great Kipari trees, they established a new empire. These insectoids, known thereafter as the Mantid, saw no purpose in continuing a battle. They knew they were not strong enough to win. Such restraint was unusual among the insectoids, but then so was the Mantid's reasoning. They still fervently worshipped the old gods, believing that their ancient masters would one day rise from their prisons and re-establish their dominion over Azeroth. The best way to serve the entities was not to expend the Mantid's strength, but to conserve it, refine it, and sharpen it. The Mantid would grow stronger without jeopardizing their survival. Though a revered empress ruled over the day-to-day activities of the Mantid, another group controlled the insectoid's destiny. The members of this group called themselves the Klaxxi, meaning priest in their native tongue. They guided the actions of the Empress and the Mantid swarms in the hopes of preserving and strengthening their race. Rather than seek retribution on the Trolls, the Klaxxi turned their gaze on another enemy. Nearby dwelled the Mogu, mighty Titan forged who had guarded the Vale of Eternal Blossoms for untold ages. The Mantid found themselves drawn to the mystical valley. They were not aware of it at the time, but they were attracted to the lingering presence of the slain old god Isharj, whose festering heart had been locked away beneath the veil by Highkeeper Ra. To seek out the dark essence beneath the veil, the Mantid launched a surprise attack against the Mogu. The Titan Forge narrowly withstood the swarm and drove them back to the Kipari forests. The Klaxxi did not consider their defeat a failure. The surviving Mantid warriors had matured, grown more powerful and cunning. The Klaxxi patiently waited 100 years before assaulting the Mogu again. They dispatched a new generation of young Mantid to besiege the Titan Forged. Once again, the survivors returned stronger. Thus began the Mantid cycle. Every century, a new Mantid clutch made war upon the Mogu. The ferocious battles removed the weak from the swarm, and only the strongest returned to the Kipari trees. Within only a few cycles, Mantid civilization had become tightly honed and rigid, utterly focused on eradicating weakness and empowering the mightiest of their kind. The Mogu marked the change with concern. They launched a campaign into Mantivest itself to ensure that the cycle would not come again. The attack came at an inauspicious time for the Mantid. It was decades before the next clutch of warriors would hatch. The Mantid were few, and the Mogu were many. Initially, the Titan Forged devastated the insectoid ranks, even the strongest survivors of past swarms. Only one Mantid, Corvin, emerged to turn the tide of battle. Armed with blades forged of Kipari amber, the warrior eviscerated the Mogu ranks, thwarting their attack and sending them into retreat. So great was Corvin's skill that many Mantid came to believe that he was capable of cheating death itself. The high elders of the Klaxxi proclaimed Corvin a paragon and promised his deeds would become legend among their kind, but the honored warrior was still not satisfied. He knew it was only chance that he arose in his race's greatest hour of need. He did not want to leave the Mantid's defense to chance alone. The Klaxxi agreed and tasked him with finding a solution. After years of experimenting with Kipari sap, Corvin discovered that a living creature could be preserved within an amber cocoon, potentially for thousands of years. If the Klaxxi placed their greatest warriors in these cocoons, they could be awakened whenever they were needed to avert disaster. Corvin became the first to undergo this preservation. In honor of his deeds, the Klaxxi named him Corvin the Prime, the first of many paragons to come. As he lay undisturbed in his amber tomb, the great cycle he had almost single-handedly saved continued on, remaining unbroken for countless generations. And here we have, this is the aftermath of the Akira and Troll War. We really probably, they should have put this in the book a little bit earlier, but this is nice. We're still in the Pangea state. You see the Well of Eternity in the middle. The tribes under Drakari control were the Frostmane and the Winteraxe. And as you can see, what we know will become Northrend is the Drakari. It contains Gundrak, which is in the Zuldrak region. Makes sense, that's a heavy troll region. And it stretches all throughout the southern lands, basically through all parts of it except for Asjol Nerub. Looks like that's really centering in where Sholazar Basin is. Or maybe that's Dragon Blight, actually. Sholazar Basin might be right there. So that's kind of maybe some Dragon Blight, Winter Grasp, Ice Crown. Those regions and the Storm Peaks, those are not real troll, but everything else. The Howling Fjord, the Grizzly Hills, Gundrak, Azuldrak, the Dragon Blight, and the other one, dang it, Borean Tundra. Those are all Drakari troll territory. The tribes under the Amani control are the Fire Tree, the Moss Flare, the Revan Tusk, the Smolderhorn, the Vile Branch, the Witherbark. I know just from questing, Witherbark, Vile Branch, Revan Tusk, Moss Flare, all of those come from quest lines. Smolderhorn and Fire Tree, I don't know. I just might not have noticed them. If you look with the color, though, Amani is all the light green. That's tons. That's covering Zulaman, which we've talked about. That's up there by where the Blood Elves eventually spawn. It's the entire Eastern Kingdoms, minus this little swath in the middle, where Uldaman, the Badlands are, where Stormwind and Elwyn Forest. So that is kind of kept free of trolls. And the entire south, like I said on the last video, including Stranglethorn Vale, Zul'Grub, and stretching over in past Ungoro Crater. And it actually stretches across and includes Kalimdor as well. Through the middle to Zul'Farrak. And Zul'Farrak is down there, I think, near Chinaris. It does not include the southern area, which we know will become Pandaria, Uldum, Anchorage. So it's not including the small little group in the desert where the goblins are. So yeah, the very south, actually, yeah, that would be Ungoro Crater, somewhere in this region. All right, so then the tribes under Gurubashi control. I'm sorry, I just told you Amani control, but now I can see there's light green and dark green. Amani is the Zulaman. They're the Eastern Kingdom ones. That's it. So that would be Hinterlands and all that stuff. And the Gurubashi are the ones that are in Stranglethorn Vale, and the Kalimdor ones, the ones that we realize that we can become when you're the Horde. And that's the Blood Scalp, the Dark Spear, the Razor Branch, the Shatter Spear, the Skull Splitter. You also have the Zandalar Empire with Zuldazar right here in the middle. That's, even though they're so powerful, that is such a small little thing. And that becomes where the Zandalari trolls come from in Battle for Azeroth. We have these little tiny pink, they look like those are called the Dark Trolls. I don't know, Mount Hyjal, a couple little tiny areas. I don't know how that's going to go. That might be our main ones that we know about. We haven't talked about them. And then we have the oranges, or the three regions of the Akir. Asjol Nerub, Anchorage, and in the Mogushon Valley with the Veil of Eternal Blossoms, the Mantid. Okay, so other than that, while this is a neat story about what happens with the Mantid, who they are, their cycle of every 100 years coming up, why they have Amber, Corvin the Paragon, the Klaxxi, the heroes, like with Corvin the Prime, that they recycle. If you go do the region, man, what is it? It's the one in the southwest where you can go to the Thundering Temple of the southwest of Pandaria. Oh man, I don't remember what it's called. Blackfoot Hills, something like that. I don't know. But it's the one of the last regions that you can do in the Mists of Pandaria expansion. We'll do that in the Let's Play. All of that is covered out. This is just kind of officially stating what you can get through various lore masters of the zones. Like some of this battling is happening, and the lore is exposed. So this is all of it compiled, but this is extensively covered in the Mists of Pandaria expansion. All right, guys. So pretty cool. Mantids are cool. This map is interesting. I like seeing the different troll groups broken up like that, but I look forward to seeing which ones become our trolls. All right, guys, it's been a pleasure as always. I hope that you enjoy, and I will see you on the next episode of Lore of Warcraft. Bye-bye.